The GCCMC podcast.
It is certainly a conversation everybody wants to be part of, certainly a subject where a lot of questions bubble up in people's minds, especially in the year 2021. In fact, for a good part of the last 6-8 months or so, ever since we've heard the word novel coronavirus or COVID-19, the phrases indeed, we've been asking, when is the vaccine coming? And now that there's news of the vaccine, obviously there are 100 other questions alongside. So on this GCCMC podcast, we've decided to catch up with an expert who's going to guide us along our way, help us understand or answer some of those questions, and also guide the way in which we consume the content that is hitting us left, right and center. I've got with me Dr. Abdul Ghafoor, who is Coordinator Chennai Declaration on AMR. He's part of the Apollo Cancer Institute. He's consultant in infectious diseases and Apollo adjunct professor as well. So we are in the safe hands of Dr. Ghafoor. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Ghafoor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Now, several doctors have been sharing messages in recent times that suggest that the current set of vaccines in India are harmful and they're only for commercial benefit. So the question that everybody is asking is it advisable to take a vaccine which has been developed in clearly such a hurry as we're still learning about the novel coronavirus? What would you say?
For almost a year, we have been waiting for a vaccine. And now we have multiple vaccine options available across the world.
Right.
And now people have been started asking, should we take the vaccine?
Right.
The vaccine has been developed too fast.
Right.
Usually a vaccine development takes 10 years. And we developed multiple vaccines over a period of 10 months. Yes, it's too fast because we did the clinical trial and other research process very fast because we are facing a pandemic. The research phase 1, phase 2 and other clinical trials were done very fast. The regulatory mechanisms were very fast, and that's why we got multiple vaccines.
Right.
A vaccine is the most important tool to end the pandemic. It's one of the most important weapons in our armamentarium against the pandemic.
Right.
A vaccine is important to end the pandemic and to make it an endemic. The COVID virus will not go away, but vaccine is important for us to end this global pandemic.
Right.
Vaccines are important. Vaccines have always been important in controlling infectious diseases across the world. Vaccines have played a very significant role in controlling infectious diseases. And when we have a new virus, when we have a new pandemic, we have, of course, a new vaccine. And whenever a new vaccine is available, it's indeed natural for the public to have doubt. Because doubt is a part of the human nature.
Right.
When a vaccine takes 10 years to develop, when you develop a vaccine 10 months' time, yes, people can have doubt. And it's a responsibility of healthcare professionals like me to talk to the public and discuss about those causes of hesitancy and discuss the possible options.
Absolutely, and we are glad that you as a healthcare professional have, given us this time to help us dispel some of those notions, some of those ideas we have with respect to this new development in our lives. Indeed, the pandemic should become an endemic, as you rightly pointed out. The other question that I think has been a matter of a lot of debate is who should take the vaccine? Is there anybody who should not be taking this vaccine? And of course, in continuation to that question, what is the safety and efficacy of vaccination in the elderly specifically?
One point, all of us should take the vaccine. The more number of the people in the country and the world take the vaccine, it's easier and faster to end the pandemic. And that's from a public health perspective. From an individual perspective, all of us should take the vaccine to protect ourselves.
Right.
I am COVID recovered. I had COVID 6 months ago. Still, I got a strong antibody titer. And still, I took the first dose of the vaccine. I'm going to take the second dose of the vaccine after 4 weeks.
Right.
And who should take the vaccine? Currently, in India, we have started vaccinating 1 crore healthcare workers. And after that, we will vaccinate 2 crores of other frontline workers like policemen, military, and other people. After that, we are going to vaccinate 27 crore individuals who are above 50 years of age or below 50 years with other high-risk factors like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, liver disease, kidney disease, etc.
Right.
So that means we are going to vaccinate 30 crores of Indians first. And even other individuals should get vaccinated. But we don't have enough vaccine, enough amount of vaccine, number of vials of vaccine to vaccinate everybody. Right. That's what all countries are doing. We are vaccinating the at-risk individuals first. Individuals who are at higher risk of complications and higher risk of acquiring the disease first. Basically, everybody needs vaccine. In India, we are utilizing vaccine for individuals above the age of 18 years. Nowhere in the world, currently, we are vaccinating children. But the situation will change over the time. When we get more evidence of using vaccine in children through clinical trials, we will initiate vaccinating children at that time. But currently, we are vaccinating only adults.
So the message is loud and clear over there, Dr. Ghafoor. Everybody should take the vaccine. Of course, there are phases in this country as there are elsewhere in the world. You mentioned you yourself are COVID, positive, and you've taken your first dose of vaccine, awaiting the next one. Are these vaccines really suitable for post-COVID patients with a good IgG level, Dr. Ghafoor?
As I mentioned, I am COVID recovered. I have got a strong antibody titer. And then one problem with the antibody that we get after COVID infection is not uniform among individuals. Some individuals develop very mild COVID and some individuals moderate level and others very severe. The level of antibody response or the immune response is not uniform among all who recovered from COVID.
Right.
At the same time, a vaccine usually induces uniform response, near uniform response in all those who are vaccinated. A vaccine immunity is more predictable than natural immunity. Of course, the immunity that we get after a natural virus infection itself is give acceptable level of immunity, but it's not really predictable to the extent that we get from a vaccine. So it's always better for a COVID recovered individual to receive the vaccine.
That brings me to the next question, Dr. Ghafoor. How many doses of vaccine are we supposed to receive? You mentioned that you're, about to take your second one. And more important, since you brought up the immune response, how long is this immunity expected to last as well?
In India, we have two types of vaccine, the Covishield and Covaxin. Both these vaccines we have taken 2 doses at a gap of 4 weeks. How long the vaccine-induced immunity lasts? We don't know, because these are new vaccines, and at a global level, we are experienced only for 2 months. It may last several months. It may last few years. We don't know. In the case of COVID infection, the pandemic started in January, and we have published evidence that the immunity lasts for 8 months. It may last for more. It may last for 10 months, 12 months or more. We don't know. Similarly, how long the vaccine-induced immunity lasts, we don't know. We have to wait and see. May last for several months, may last for a few years. We don't know.
Saying it as it is, and that is Dr. Abdul Ghafoor's voice for you on the GCCMC podcast, which is all about dispelling some ideas we have been having, nursing with respect to the vaccinations for the novel coronavirus. Stay with us on this podcast. There are more questions for Dr. Ghafoor coming up.
For more discussions and resources, visit gccmc.in. The GCCMC podcast continues.
The GCCMC podcast with Dr. Abdul Ghafoor continues. He's a consultant in infectious diseases. He's part of Apollo Cancer Institute, Apollo adjunct professor, and coordinator Chennai Declaration on AMR. And he's been addressing some of the most common questions that the medical fraternity, everyone in the ecosystem indeed, has been asking with respect to the vaccinations against COVID-19. So, Dr. Ghafoor, my next question for you is there any known drug interaction with these vaccines? And also, the other question is, can COVID-19 influenza and pneumococcal vaccine can be given in the same setting?
We avoid multiple vaccinations along with a COVID vaccine. Okay. And first of all, now we have dedicated COVID vaccine centers. So the issue of getting a COVID vaccine with another vaccine doesn't arise for the time being. But in future, when the COVID vaccination becomes popular, common, we may have to take multiple vaccines at the same time. So the real scientific recommendation is you better have 2 weeks of gap with other killed vaccine. There are 2 types of vaccine, the kill vaccine and live vaccine. If you take a COVID vaccine, you at least give a gap of 2 weeks before taking other kill vaccines, and leave a gap of at least 1 month if you take a live vaccine. For example, chickenpox vaccine is a live vaccine. If you take COVID vaccine today, you have to wait at least 1 month to take a chickenpox vaccine.
Right.
A pneumococcal vaccine is a kill vaccine. If you take a COVID vaccine today, you can take a pneumococcal vaccine or a kill flu vaccine after 2 weeks. Now, if you really ask me the science and exact recommendation, I can take a COVID vaccine today and take a pneumococcal vaccine today. I can do that. But currently, we don't have the option of combining 2 vaccines at the same time because we are following a rigid COVID vaccination protocol. So, let's discuss the science, the real science of vaccinology on one side and the practical aspects of COVID vaccination today. So, even though theoretically you can take other vaccines along with COVID vaccine, practically we are not doing now because we are only giving COVID vaccine in dedicated COVID centers. So, from your perspective, in a practical point, as I explained earlier, wait for 2 weeks before taking another kill vaccine and wait for 4 weeks before taking a live vaccine.
So different time frames for live vaccines and, of course, kill vaccines. What about the drug interaction part with these vaccines? Anything that the healthcare professionals need to know about that?
Vaccine is a different group of drugs. They don't usually interact with drugs. But if a patient is on immunosuppression, for example, cancer drugs and steroids for various conditions that can reduce your immunity, you should not take a live vaccine. But both vaccines available today in India and vaccines available at global level today, none of them are really live vaccines. Right. Even the Covishield, the Oxford University vaccine, the virus is live, but that virus cannot multiply. Scientists have removed that part of the that helps the virus multiply. Yes, the virus is live, but we call them as non-replicating virus. So even non-replicating virus is safe in people with reduced immunity, is safe in people who take cancer drugs and drugs like steroids. And the other vaccine that is available in India is Covaxin, which is a kill vaccine, and kill vaccines are usually safe in people with low immunity. But for the time being, the Covaxin manufacturer, Bharat Biotech, doesn't recommend Covaxin for people with low immunity. The reason could be the Covaxin is in clinical trial mode technically, but usually kill vaccines are safe. So until we get permission from Bharat Biotech, who is a manufacturer, let us not give Covaxin to people with low immunity and Covaxin to people on drugs which reduce your immunity. But technically, both of them are safe. Currently, the Covishield, the Serum Institute vaccine, we are allowed to give it to people with reduced immunity. So for the time being, I am recommending Covishield vaccine for people with reduced immunity and on drugs which can reduce your immunity, and not Covaxin for the time being. But I'm sure the situation will change in a month or two. Let's wait and see.
Let's wait and see. Right. Next question for you, Dr. Ghafoor. How are we sure that antibody-dependent enhancement will not happen with the COVID vaccines?
Antibody-dependent enhancement is a potential side effect of any of the viral vaccines. Mm-hmm. And antibody-dependent enhancement is expected to happen more with killed vaccine and less common with live vaccines or mRNA vaccines. But that's only a prediction. It depends on the intensity of inflammation, intensity and the level of antibody response. Now, let's look at the case of kill vaccine. Mm-hmm. The Chinese vaccine, Sinovac, is a kill vaccine. They have completed phase 3 recently, but there is no real issue of antibody-dependent enhancement so far in the phase 3 of the Chinese vaccine. And we are not expecting any antibody-dependent enhancement with the Covaxin, the Indian kill vaccine as well, because the adjuvant that they are using is different from the usual adjuvants of kill vaccine. And they are predicting a less chance of antibody-dependent enhancement because the adjuvant, the special adjuvant used in Covaxin stimulates, we call type L, Th1 type of immunity and not Th2. With the if it stimulates Th1, there is a less likely chance of antibody-dependent enhancement. Overall, phase 3, we have, and from the phase 3 available data, what we hear, we are not hearing stories of antibody-dependent enhancement, but we need the full phase 3 data for that. But one issue, even if you have phase 3, an antibody-dependent enhancement may not be even evident in phase 3. We may have to go for phase 4. That's what happened with the dengue vaccine. Dengue vaccine was safe in phase 3, but after marketing, there was antibody-dependent enhancement. But we don't know. It may not happen with COVID at all. We don't know. We have to wait and see. But what we hear from the Covaxin manufacturer, Bharat Biotech, the special type of adjuvant that we use avoid the possibility of antibody-dependent enhancement.
Right. Here's the other question that everyone's asking, especially on the back of the new strain of coronavirus found in UK, for example. Will the current set of vaccines also save us from these new strains of the virus?
The UK strain, the B117, yes, we had a lot of concern whether UK's variant will be active, our vaccines will be effective against vaccine. And thank God, the recent data available at least give us some information that the Pfizer vaccine has done steady against the UK strain. Our Indian vaccine, Covaxin, has got data against the Indian strain. The Pfizer vaccine is active against the UK variant, and there is published data available. And 2 days ago, the Covaxin, our Bharat Biotech vaccine, also is active against the UK variant.
Right.
We are waiting for the data from the Oxford University vaccine. I'm sure they're working on it. We'll have the data soon. We expect that the vaccine will be active against it, but we need published data. But Oxford vaccine is working. The Covaxin, Bharat Biotech vaccine, both of them are working against the UK strain. But there is another strain, the South African strain. If you look at the Pfizer data against South African strain, there is 5 to 10 times reduction of activity against the South African strain. Even though the activity is reduced, even that reduced level of activity is still enough to neutralize or inactivate the virus. Yes, the activity is less than that of the earlier variant, but still even the reduced activity is enough to kill the virus. It's a matter of concern for the future. If more and more variants appear in the world, at one stage we know the vaccines will be ineffective. But currently the vaccines are active. But over the time, maybe a year or after that, the virus will mutate enough and the existing vaccine will be ineffective. But we don't have to worry, because a vaccine manufacturer today will require only 6 weeks to tweak the component of the vaccine and produce a new vaccine that is against the new variant. So, yes, at one stage, the existing vaccines may not act. Now, yes, they are acting, but in future, they may not act. At that time, we will change the composition of the vaccine and make it active against the variant that is prevalent, will be prevalent at that time.
Right. Well, reassuring words from you, Dr. Ghafoor. But that brings me almost to the end of the conversation. Got to ask you this: are there any alternatives to taking the vaccine, Dr. Ghafoor?
Vaccine is one of the weapons in the armamentarium against the pandemic. And still, the social distancing is very important. Masking is very important. Hand washing is very important. Along with that, vaccine is important. Vaccine alone will not end the pandemic. Along with the vaccine, we need the other three weapons of mass destruction. That means the washing, masking, and distancing. I call it as weapons of mass destruction. Along with the weapons of mass destruction, you need the vaccine.
Well, I think that is a great point that you've made, that it is a very important and critical part of our armory, the vaccine as a weapon, but it is not the only one. The other good habits, as in, wearing a mask, maintaining social distancing and sanitizing, is absolutely essential. Well, this is a great start to the conversation that we've had on vaccinations. I'm sure there'll be more questions, and I'm inviting all of our listeners to participate in the discussions. And by the way, do visit gccmc.in for more of these chats and also some more resources on COVID-19. But right now, thank you so much, Dr. Gafur, for joining us on the GCCMC podcast for now. Yeah.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to participate in this podcast. And it was a pleasure to discuss certain important aspects and doubts regarding the COVID vaccine.
The GCCMC podcast.